Hello, and thanks for joining me. Well, if I'm going to use flood coolant on this mill, I need to come up with some protection for my y-axis on my mill. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it, but I do have a plan, just not a concrete plan. So I'm kind of inventing as I go. But here's the idea. Let me show you. Here's the material I'm going to use. It's fairly flexible this direction, a little bit stiffer this way. It's apparently for stair treads, made out of vinyl, and I'm a little concerned about its oil resistance. I did read the specs on it, and it did say it was oil resistant. So maybe it'll do okay. The price was cheap. I think I paid $5 for a 2-foot length and 30 inches wide, something like that, which is more than I need. But let me show you what I'm going to do on the mill, I hope. Here's the area I got to cover with a lot of plastic chips on it. Tell you what, let me clean those plastic chips up and I'll get back with you. So here's the deal. This mill goes all the way back to the column. There's no space at all, and I want to preserve that y-axis travel, or at least as much as possible. It actually contacts the ways on the mill, on the z-axis. So the plan is to get this back here, to bolt to this bottom section, because this section does not move, and have it hinge right here. In other words, make it go down and then back up to here. But if I do that, then it's going to kind of crunch up back there instead of fold right there. So I was thinking about making a piece that slides up and down on my z-axis, like that. Cut the dovetail contour there. And have a couple of rods up here with the springs going down. That would keep it up. When you moved it back, it would pull it up and let it fold exactly there. And hopefully not limit my travel too much. It'd probably be about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch, but that's the plan anyway. I'm going to start out about 18 inches wide. I can always go narrower if it gets in the way. Making it wider is a little more difficult. Maybe slower is better. Probably melting it. Isn't that weird? I don't know if that's better or worse. A little bit of interference here. I think I gotta trim this nylon right here. Okay, I cut a couple of notches in the guide. I think it will allow the y-axis to go back a little further. Yeah, I've lost about 1/8 to 1/4 inch of travel. Yeah, it'll be all right. Guess I need a reverse for my drill press. Okay, it's going to be kind of hard to show on the camera. I punched a series of holes in there. This is my test piece. And I'm going to clamp this where I'm going to bolt it later, the final version. Okay, now this is trial and error. I got the mill table all the way forward. And I want to bolt this to here to find out how it's going to do when I move it back. Okay, now my objective is to, when I move it back, for the spring to pull it up and it to kink right at the bottom. So that it doesn't bunch up. Oh, maybe not perfect, but that's pretty good. Now the spring will stretch as I get further away. I think that's it. And I left a little extra right here. I don't know if that's necessary or not. I may have to end up cutting that off. Because when I raise my mill table to the top and then go back, that's probably about as high as I'd ever go. Yeah, it's running into the curve right here in the top of my mill. So I'll cut that off a little bit. Also wondering, yeah, I see a problem there. Not a big problem, but this is something to be concerned about. The nylon is not, I was afraid of that too. Not going down. Maybe with both of them pulling down, it might. Let's see what it does. Oh, look at that. I think that's going to work. I think that's going to work. The only negative and difficult to do is bolting that to the bottom of my mill there on the, there's plenty of casting to drill in there, so it should be okay, but still hesitate to drill into my mill. Definitely worth it to keep the coolant and chips off of my y-axis ways though. Okay, I drilled a second aluminum strip. This one's going to bolt onto the bottom of the y-axis. I'm just transferring the holes. I'm going to drill and tap a 832 in the bottom of my mill, and that's what's going to hold it on. And these are all threaded now, and I'll bolt that onto the back of this. I think that's going to work. I might need to put that spring on the next bolt over though. I think I'll do that. Well, it's not fastened to the back of the table yet, but it looks like it's going to work good. Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah, I can move the table and the guard stays the same relative to the end mill. I can go all the way out. And I can go most of the way in. I probably limited my travel a little over a 1/4 inch. Hard to say for sure with those clamps there. I'm going to have to find a low profile right hand drill to mount that splash guard, or whatever you want to call it, chip guard, coolant guard. I call it a coolant guard. And I'm going to have to find a low profile drill to drill those. Oh wow, I did that without breaking a tap. 832 tap's pretty fragile. I like it. That's got it. Well, that about wraps up the chip guard, way covers, whatever you want to call them. I'm really pleased with it. But I got another surprise here. I got a HHP vise, HHIP vise right here. And they make a pretty good product. I don't think they're anything like a Kurt vise, but it's a pretty good product. But what I had before was a CNC vise. Let me show you. And a CNC vise doesn't have a coolant gutter on it. So I bought another vise. I hated to do away with this one because it's been a really good vise. And I may use it again. But I got a 4-inch, same size, HHIP standard mill vise. Snug fit, but I suppose that's good. Yeah, it's a good fit. I've got the swivel base for this too. I didn't really need it. I mean, I don't use it very often, but it's nice to have when you do need it, so I went ahead and got it. I usually don't use it. But just as sure as I didn't order it, I would need it. Now, what I liked about the CNC vise, and the reason I got it to begin with, is it clamps anywhere. You've got to use these right here to clamp into a groove. And this one, of course, you could use that on about anywhere you want, but this one's got absolute places where it bolts down. But I think it's got some overhang there, and I'm probably going to lose a little bit of travel, which I did not want. But I don't think it's going to be enough to worry about. I think at some other later date I'll put some extra thick washers under there, make some. And of course I'll get rid of this. I don't like those. Put my custom handle on there, thank goodness it fits. Here we go. I like it. Oh boy, those match good. Yeah, that's, for the money, I think that's a good vise. Of course, I haven't set it on a granite table and measured it and everything. But for most things, it's going to do great for me. Well, that about wraps it up for today. Thanks for joining me. Be sure and subscribe and ring that bell. Okay, I gotta give this thing a try. Let's try some flood coolant, see if it contains the flood coolant. Okay, here's something I added. Little can hanging from the end of the guard to catch excessive coolant. But there's a little extra excessive coolant because of that right there. There's a hole right there. And what it is that key I put for going this way, it's also got keys this way. So I gotta plug that hole. That was an unforeseen leak right there. Anyway, that wraps it up. I'm pleased. No coolant on the floor.